My brother moved into my home in January of 2023 with his wife. They were looking to get out of the craziness of Washington State and offered my home while they looked for jobs. Expecting it would be 2-3 months tops. They only had to pay the difference of utilities since they use such a crazy amount of utilities resources. While living with my wife and me, it became apparent very quickly that they were inconsiderate people. Examples: would leave used Band-Aids on the floor, leave used napkins/tissues everywhere, never pick up used dishes, not put dishes in the dishwasher, have us buy food that they never ate and went bad, couldn't play certain games, watch certain TV, listen to certain music. They flooded my spare bathroom, broke my trash can, and lied about it. And the list really does go on. Some background. On my brother's work qualifications, he and I are very similar. College graduates and Army veterans. Neither of us do drugs nor have had any problems with the law. General background. It took me about 2 months from losing my job to getting my first paycheck in this area. Finding an apartment took me a matter of days when I first moved to this state, which is why I only ever expected them to be at my home for 2-3 months. Well, my brother and his wife didn't start working until May and April, respectively. They went on vacation, requested start dates be pushed back, and were eating takeout every day. Not the behavior of people struggling and destitute. At the end of May, a full month after both were working, I told my brother that I expected them to start paying half the rent since they're both working, and that it was to start on July 1st. He indicated he understood and that he would talk to his wife. This would have given them both a full 2 months of work paychecks. Since they started working, they have been looking for a place to stay. Apparently apartments are insufficient, and they wanted to buy/rent a house, which only added time to finding a place to stay. They did manage to find a place and had keys to move into the new place just before July 1st, though not all utilities were set up like internet and hot water. They made it clear they weren't going to start moving in for another 2 weeks once the internet was installed and would take their time completing the move, essentially saying they will be there for the month of July. I asked my brother about paying rent. He assumed I would forget about it and never brought it to his wife's attention. He and his wife made a big stink saying that they were poor and didn't have money to pay rent, saying they didn't feel welcome in my home and that I was taking advantage of their situation. I offered them 3 options: pay in full, pay when they get their next paycheck, or move out. They chose to move out into their new house the next day. I think I did the right thing, but it seems to have disrupted the family dynamic, and I'm second-guessing myself. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, easy not the idiot. You helped your brother and his wife in a time of need, and they returned your favor in spades. Did it disrupt the family dynamic? If I were in your shoes, I would go no contact with your brother and his wife for being such entitled jerks they turned out to be. Comment 2, Dear Reddit. My brother and his wife were utterly inconsiderate and used me and my wife. When I finally called them out on it, they made a big stink and said I was in the wrong. Was I? Answer: nope, not the idiot. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So after my brother and his wife decided to move out, you'd think things would calm down, right? Wrong. They left, but not without a parting gift. They took some of our kitchen appliances, claiming they were theirs. I was fuming, but my wife said to let it go, that it wasn't worth the fight. I should have listened to her. A week later, my brother's wife posts pictures on social media, bragging about their new place. There, in the background, was my missing blender and toaster. I couldn't believe it. They were flaunting their theft. I called my brother and he denied everything, said I was seeing things. But I knew what I saw. I decided to drop by their house unannounced. I wanted to confront them, get my stuff back, but when I got there, I saw something that made my blood boil. They were throwing a housewarming party, and guess what? They were using my blender to make margaritas for their guests. I lost it. I stormed in, grabbed my blender, and left. Everyone was staring, and my brother was yelling, but I didn't care. I was done being the nice guy. But that wasn't the end of it. My brother's wife came to our house the next day crying, saying I embarrassed them in front of their friends. She said they were struggling, that they needed those appliances more than we did. I told her that wasn't an excuse to steal. She left in a huff, and I thought that was that. 2 days later, I get a call from my parents. They're upset, saying I should have been more understanding. That family helps family. I tried to explain, but they wouldn't listen. They said I should apologize. Can you believe that? Apologize for wanting my stolen property back? But here's where it gets really crazy. My brother's wife, she's been talking to my wife behind my back. She told her a sob story about how they're in debt, how they can't afford anything. My wife, bless her heart, she's too kind. She went and bought them a new blender and toaster, said it was a peace offering. I couldn't believe it. After everything, she still wanted to help them. I was mad at first, but then I realized something. My wife, she's the better person here. She's showing compassion, even when they don't deserve it. And maybe that's what family is about. Not the taking, but the giving, even when it's hard. So I swallowed my pride. I went over to their house with my wife, and we gave them the appliances. My brother, he looked ashamed, and he should be. He mumbled a thanks, and I could see in his eyes he knew he messed up. After that, things started to settle. My brother and his wife, they've been keeping to themselves. I think they're embarrassed, and they should be. They haven't asked for anything else, and I haven't offered. But my wife, she checks in on them from time to time, makes sure they're okay. She's got a big heart, and I love her for it. And me, I learned a lesson. Family's complicated, and sometimes you gotta be the bigger person. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Thanks for reading. My sister thinks she can ignore personal hygiene and still succeed in law school. So when she loses her internship and has nowhere to go, I show her tough love and refuse to let her move back in. My sister Mary is very smart and doing really well in law school academically, but she does not have good personal hygiene habits at all. She knows to keep good hygiene, but just doesn't. She'll usually go 3, but sometimes even 5 or 7 days without showering, including when she's on her period. We live in a very warm area and it smells really bad, like so bad that sometimes it's hard to be in a small room with her. Mom tells Mary that she should be showering every day, but Mary just says that she's too tired to, and she doesn't like showering anyway. Mom got Mary a Perry bottle too to help her stay clean down there, but I doubt Mary actually uses it. Mary hasn't been taking care of her hair either. She's dyed it a couple of times, but hasn't been doing the upkeep she's supposed to, so it's really frizzy and the colors are kind of mashed together, if that makes sense. She doesn't brush it either, so it's really tangled too. I'm going to be honest, it looks really bad, and she looks very unkempt in general. According to Mary, almost all of her classmates have jobs or other law internships, but she's struggling to find work. She has a great resume and will get an interview very easily, but she never makes it beyond the in-person interview. Mom's told her gently many times that Mary needs to work on her personal hygiene and appearance with her hair, but Mary really hasn't listened at all. Then a few weeks ago, a firm came to Mary's school offering internships. Some classmates, she says, are much less competent than her got the internships, but she didn't. That's when Mom stopped sugarcoating it and told Mary that she needs to fix her hair and start showering daily because she is never going to get hired by a law firm if she keeps looking unkempt the way she does right now. Mom and Mary got into a big argument over it. It got pretty heated and they both said some things that were out of line. Mary came to me to tell me that she thinks our mom is shallow and only cares about appearances. I agreed with Mary that Mom did go pretty far in the argument, but that she isn't being shallow. She's giving you professional advice. Law is a profession where you are judged based on physical attributes like appearance and smell. If you seem like you don't take care of yourself, a client is going to assume you won't take care of their case and will pick someone else. It doesn't matter how competent you actually are, that's just how it works. Mary got pissed off at me and accused me of trying to suck up to Mom. Mary is still being super short with me and Mom and giving one-word answers to everything. I think Mary should realize that we're trying to help her. She's already missed out on a lot of opportunities and will keep missing out on more if she doesn't start caring more about her physical attributes. Mom honestly should have stopped sugarcoating it a while ago. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. No one wants to sit in a cramped jail cell with a lawyer who smells bad. If Mary doesn't like to spend time on hair care, she should get a cute little pixie cut and stop dyeing it. As for showering, maybe she needs to see a therapist or something to figure out what the issue is. Even when I'm tired, I'll still take a quick shower to get clean. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I'm in HR and legal and involved in hiring. and you wouldn't pass to the second round without looking neat and proper. It's the wrong appearance for a firm to be disheveled, especially at an interview where you're supposed to be at your best. Perhaps there is another reason, and she needs counseling. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, Mary decided to prove me wrong. She landed another interview, this time with a pretty big law firm. We were all hopeful, thinking maybe she'd take our advice seriously. But no, she showed up to the interview like she just rolled out of bed, hair a mess and that familiar smell lingering. It was a disaster. The interviewer was polite, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Mary came home fuming, blaming everyone but herself. Mom tried to talk to her again, but Mary shut her down. She said she was tired of being judged and that her skills should speak for themselves. But here's the thing, the world doesn't work like that. I tried to be the voice of reason, but she just wouldn't listen. Then out of nowhere, Mary's luck seemed to turn. A classmate dropped out of an internship, and Mary was next in line. She got the spot by default. It was a big deal, a chance to prove herself. But instead of cleaning up her act, she doubled down on her stubbornness. Her first week was a mess. She was late, unprepared, and her work area, it was like a biohazard zone. People started complaining. The other interns avoided her, and even the supervising attorney pulled her aside for a chat. But Mary, she just shrugged it off. It all came to a head when one of the clients refused to sit in the same room with her. It was embarrassing for everyone. The firm gave her an ultimatum, clean up or leave. Mary was defiant, said they couldn't force her to change. But they could, and they did. They cut her from the program. She came home in a rage, blaming everyone. Mom had enough. She told Mary it was time to face reality or find somewhere else to live. It was harsh, but something had to give. Mary packed her bags that night. She said she'd stay with a friend who understood her. I didn't want to see her go, but I was relieved too. It was like we could all breathe again, literally and figuratively. The house has been quieter since she left. Mom's been second-guessing herself, wondering if she pushed too hard. I keep telling her it was for the best. Mary needs to learn the hard way, I guess. Thanks for reading. My close family friend Bridezilla used my wedding planning skills and then kicked my kids out. So I canceled her dream wedding and watched her desperately scramble to fix it. I am an experienced wedding planner, 14+ years, who offered to help a close family friend with her wedding. I have known the bride her entire life and offered a 50% discount on my planning services and waived travel fees destination wedding, given I was also invited to attend. I have been planning with her for over a year and the wedding is 3 months away. It is a destination wedding for nearly everyone attending, including myself. I have gone above and beyond to help her given our personal connection, including planning 2 other wedding weekend events not in our contract, replanning the entire wedding 9 months out because she decided to change locations, as well as dealing with communication from her well outside of my typical business hours, even after setting firm boundaries. My husband, my mom, and I have all been invited to the wedding. I also have 2 toddlers, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, who have to travel with us as we'd be gone for 4 days. Last summer, I had a conversation with the bride about getting sitter recommendations from her friends locally for our kids, so we could have someone watch them in a room at the venue, as I wasn't comfortable with them being watched by a stranger 45 minutes away from me in another state. I made travel arrangements for my family, and I amounting to close to $4,000. Flights, accommodations, rental car, etc. During a recent conversation, I mentioned the kids coming with us, and the bride acted surprised but didn't say anything one way or the other. Fast forward a week and she reached out asking if I was planning to have the kids at the venue. I said yes, that they'd be watched in one of the back rooms by the sitter so they would be nearby, and so I'd know they were safe, as I'd mentioned 7 months prior. The bride then says that she told other family members they couldn't bring their kids and that she didn't want to set a double standard by allowing me to bring mine, no exceptions. I know for a fact that she does not have family members with young children, so this was confusing to me. She said I should have asked her and not assumed, but I pointed out that I've been planning with her for over a year, and not once was anything about kids mentioned anywhere. Not in save the dates, invites, wedding website, conversation, etc. The bride has a history of being stubborn and narcissistic, and it became clear she wasn't going to make an exception for me, so I rescinded my husband's RSVP and now have to cancel their non-refundable flights, $2,000-ish, and go alone to attend the wedding. I feel like I have gone above and beyond for her as a friend and wedding planner, and the least she could do is to allow me to have my kids watched on site, not attend or participate in any way. As a wedding planner, I am aware that kids at weddings are a tricky subject, and I absolutely understand not wanting them at the event itself. But I would have ensured they remained corralled in the back area, fully separate from guest view. Am I the jerk? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. There's no issue with the kids being nearby as long as they're not at the wedding. Wedding culture has gotten ridiculously out of control if we're to the point that kids being unseen and unheard are an issue. Why do you have to cancel your husband and kids' non-refundable flights though? If you're going to the wedding without them, why not just let your husband and kids go to the park or the movies or something while you're at the wedding or swim in the hotel pool? The rest of the time you can be on vacation with them. Comment 2. I kind of think you're the idiot here. You're bringing your kids to work. Why can't they stay at the hotel with your husband? You mentioned in an earlier comment that you want to spend time with them. That's the entire reason the bride doesn't want kids there. I'm surprised you're getting so much support because Reddit is usually all about child-free weddings. And I think if you pose the question, I'm bringing my kids to a child-free wedding, but having them wait in a back room with a sitter, you'd be the AH big time. Now, for the update, thanks for all the comments on my last post. Well, things went from bad to worse. After I canceled my husband and kids' flights, I thought that was the end of it. But no, the bride had more surprises up her sleeve. A few days later, I got a call from the venue. They were confused about some last-minute changes the bride had apparently made without telling me. She had decided to switch the reception to a smaller room, which wouldn't fit all the guests we had planned for. When I confronted her, she shrugged it off, saying she wanted a more intimate setting. I had to scramble to reorganize the seating and cut down the guest list. It was a nightmare, and I had to deal with some pretty angry guests who were suddenly uninvited. But here's the kicker. The bride had told the venue that the changes were my idea. She threw me under the bus, making it look like I was the one who messed up. I was fuming, but I had to keep it together for the sake of the wedding. Then the day before the wedding, I found out that the bride had been telling our mutual friends that I was the one who insisted on bringing my kids, even though she had a strict no-kids policy. She painted me as the unreasonable one, and I started getting cold shoulders from people I've known for years. The wedding day itself was a blur. I worked my tail off to make sure everything went smoothly, despite the bride's constant last-minute demands. But when it was all over, I found out that she had been planning to replace me all along. She had another planner lined up, ready to take over after the wedding, and she used my mistakes as an excuse to cut ties. I was blindsided. All the extra work, the stress, the personal sacrifices, it was all for nothing. She had been manipulating me from the start, using our friendship to get a discounted service, and then discarding me when I was no longer useful. And the worst part? I didn't see it coming. I thought I was helping a friend, but in reality, I was just a pawn in her game. It's a harsh lesson learned, and one I won't forget anytime soon. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!